New leaf. New leaf. Oh, this is gonna be good. So let's talk a little bit about Roll the Bones. I was hanging out on the PTR, and I noticed this is one of the changes that have happened on PTR. There was not a public change on MMO Champ or WoWHead. One of the buffs that Roll the Bones provides is called True Bearing. Now, True Bearing is a buff, and its effectiveness is it's a finisher reduces the remaining cooldowns of many of your abilities by 2 seconds per combat point. So it is similar to what combat rogues had with, I think, Ruthlessness from back in the day, where you could get cooldown reduction on many of your abilities. What was interesting about True Bearing is it worked on your offensives, your utilities like Sprint, your grappling hook, your stun, your CC in general, and defensives like Cloak of Shadows. There's a lot of abilities that are incorporated into True Bearing, but as of the recent patch on PTR of 7.1.5, there was a build, and you can find it on WoWHead. It's a changelog where the build no longer features your CC, which are between the eyes and blind, and no longer features your defensive cooldowns like Repost or Cloak of Shadows. So no longer can you get your cooldowns like CC and defenses back up faster with True Bearing. What does this mean for Outlaw Rogues? Well, for PvE, this means Outlaw Rogues will be less likely to survive through many of the encounters. I mean, they nerfed the survivability for rogues PvE-wise for raids by nerfing cheat death, where rogues just survive mechanics, and giving the cheat death a cooldown of 2 minutes, amping it all the way up to 6 minutes. Right now, playing Outlaw and going against a lot of magical abilities, it was a little less punishing when you're playing Outlaw when you get True Bearing, because you can utilize the Cloak of Shadows to, let's say, clear brambles a lot more often in Scenarios fight on Emerald Nightmare. So they're effectively nerfing their defensives, and I have no issue with that. Where my issue stands with this is for PvP. This is a direct nerf for PvP, but maybe not. Outlaw hasn't really had that high of a representation in PvP scene, especially in arenas. There are definitely few individuals that are playing Outlaw, but it's not really the most popular change. And with all the changes coming out in patch 7.1, I am expecting for Assassination Rogues and Subtlety Rogues to be played more than Outlaw as the changes occur. But maybe not. So it's a question of, is this really the end of Roll the Bones? And is this the end of Outlaw? Now, I don't want to make it like controversial question like, oh, end of the world, whatever kind of deal. But it kind of does take out the effectiveness of Roll the Bones. It almost involves a lot of rogues to swap over and try out Slice and Dice. And Blizzard, I guess, stated that they don't want to force players to play Roll the Bones if they don't want to. They want to make a viable option. My thoughts on it were, maybe if they just tweak Roll the Bones mechanic and give people a more fun playstyle, keep this dynamic playstyle that Roll the Bones offers, but take out the random bullshit. Like, for example, you basically don't want to have Roll the Bones available when you only have one buff for PvE. If you have 2, 3, or all 6 buffs, that is the sweet spot, and that is where you stop re-rolling. So what a lot of rogues aren't happy with is the RNG aspect plus the re-roll aspect every single time. I feel like this could be fixed, maybe with some damage tuning. Well, okay, we had damage tuning recently. I feel like if Roll the Bones always gave it 2 different buffs, it would solve a lot of the issues. It might create issues, but it would definitely solve PvP related issues, and rogues would just not re-roll over and over and over. Usually it'd be like, roll the buffs, okay, I have these buffs, this is how my playstyle alters a little bit, and you kind of go on your merry way. Instead, what they're basically doing is they're giving you less reasons to play Roll the Bones and more likeliness to play Slice and Dice. Slice and Dice for PvE creates a little bit of a, I mean, it's effective playstyle. It deals damage, it's just very boring. So getting past the hurdle of where you're not falling asleep is a little bit difficult at first, but eventually you get a hang of it, and it basically makes you feel like you're playing combat rogues all over again, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The only issue that I have with True Bearing and I guess Roll the Bones is the fact that Blizzard aren't addressing the ability on its own, but instead they gave it this hidden nerf that first of all wasn't even on notes, which I guess it took me by surprise. Second, I feel like it takes away any more utility that Outlaw had in PvP with Roll the Bones and the cooldown reduction mechanic, which I guess it was strong, but even if it was strong, it was not exploited. That means Outlaw Rogues are still not that powerful, even though they have this mechanic, so since they're still underrepresented, I don't think that's where the issue lied with, but they still decided to nerf it anyway. I guess what I would have done is, if they are going to be rolling the True Bearing nerf, I actually don't know what else they could do. I guess I'm fine with Outlaw Rogues having the same defenses. The only thing is, playing Outlaw with True Bearing, it gave you that small edge to be ahead of the competition. This is all pre-patch PTR notes, so voice your concerns online and on forums. I actually have a link for a forum post where I posted this and just asking community your thoughts. If you guys want to go voice your thoughts there, whether you like the change or not, feel free, because then maybe there's like you have a better chance. There's a small chance that a dev will see it, but actually you have a better chance to get all 6 buffs than a dev seeing a forum post from a bunch of crying rogues. But anyway, this is what I want to talk a little bit about in terms of True Bearing. I'm not really sure why this change was done for PvP. This is definitely a PvE change, but it is going to adversely affect PvP. If Slice and Dice ends up proving to be a really good buff that ends up allowing more consistent damage and overall energy regeneration, that ends up being the go-to buff for PvP, then I think it'll be fine. It'll definitely take away the whole dynamic playstyle, but yeah, that would suck, but at least being viable isn't going to be an issue. Anyway, what are your thoughts, guys? Comments, everything. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.